Hello everybody, so today I will talk about calculus. The topic today is about the integral. We have I n equals to the integral from negative number 1 to positive number 1 of the absolute value of x multiplied with 1 plus x squared over 2 until x to the power of 2n over 2n dx. If n tends to infinity, the results will express in p and over q in the lowest form. Find the value of bq multiplied with b plus q over 10. Now I will show you the technique how to answer the question. First, we need to know that the absolute value equal to number 0, so I want to find the location where x they can change the value in here. That's it, about x equal to 0. So number 0 is between the positive number 1 and the negative number 1. So now we need to separate this interval into two intervals. For this one, we have from number 0 in here to positive number 1. In this situation, we got about positive of x. In here, we have from negative number 1 to the 0. In this situation, we got about negative of x. Later that, x will multiply with number 1 x and x squared over 2 until this one. So you will got the integral from 0 to 1. That should be about x plus x squared plus x to the power of 3 over 2 and so on until x to the power of 2n plus 1 over 2n. Similar for this one. It is similar like this one, so I just copy. So this is from negative number 1 to the 0, but we have the negative in here. Later that, we got about x squared over 2 and we have x to the power of 3 over 3 and we got about x to the power of 4 over 2 multiplied with 4 in here, and we have x to the power of 6 of 5 over 3 over 5, 3 multiplied with 5 in here, and so on. We have x to the power of 2n plus 2 over 2n multiplied with 2n plus 2, and we have number 0 and number 1. Similar for this one. Now we put number 1 in here and you will get about 1 over 2 plus 1 over 1 multiplied with number 3, and we have 1 over 2 over 4 and so on. In this one, we got about, because 0 in here, so that's the positive, so we got about the negative number 1. So we got about negative, we put outside, so we got about positive, and we got about negative 1 over 1 multiplied with 3. Because negative number 1 we put in here, you got about negative, but this one they will go to the positive. Because 2n plus 2 is about even power, so you got about the positive in here. Now we sum two series together, and you got about, we have 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2, you got about number 1. We have 1 over 2 over 4 and 1 over 2 over 4. Similar for next one, that's about 1 over 4 multiplied with number 6. And we have number 2 on the numerator. And so on. Next, we have number 2, we put out in here. So we got about this one, we got about number 4, and we have 1 multiplied with number 2, and this one we put number 4 outside, so you got about 2 multiplied with number 3, multiplied with number 4, and so on in this one. Now we have 2 over 4 we put outside to do about factorization, and that should be about 1 over 2, because 2 divided by 4, you got about 1 over 2. The next one, about this series, we have 2 minus 1, we have 3 minus 2, we have 4 minus 3, and this is about n plus 1 minus n. We have 2 divided by 2 in here, so you got about 1. Negative number 1 divided for this one, you got about negative 1 over 2. So we have 3 divided by 3, you got about 1 over 2, negative 1 over 3, and so on. This one divide this one, you got about 1 over n. This one divide this one, you got about negative 1 over n plus 1. As you can see that this couple in here, they will cancel. So we just have only 1 plus 1 over 2 multiplied with number 1 minus 1 over n plus 1. So now we need to put this one back in here. We have 1 over 2. We have n plus 1, so we got number 1 in here, so we will about n plus 1 over n plus 1. Next, they have common denominator, so we got about n plus 1 minus 1, you got about n. Next, so we have 2n plus 1 in this number 1, we will about 2n plus 2, and we have 2n plus 2. So in here we got about n over 2n plus 1. So this one plus this one, you will got about 3n plus 2 over 2n plus 2. And now let's compare for the question they asked about b over q. It should be like this. So we have b equal to 3n plus 2, q equal to 2n plus 2. So we put this one in here. So we put this one in here. In here, 3n plus 2n is about 5n. 2 plus 2 is about 4. Now we have number 2. We divide to this one, so you eliminate. So you got about 5. And this is the final answer of the question. That's it, the end. Thank you for watching.